All I am is a conductor of mayhem. I like to see people get off in a good way.
Ozzy Osbourne doesn't hold back. For over 50 years, the Prince of Darkness has ruled the metal world, not just with his music, but with his brutally honest opinions. Forget the bat-biting headlines and wild reality TV moments. Ozzy is a true metalhead with high standards. And if a band didn't live up to what he thought real rock should be, he didn't stay quiet about it. Whether it was backstage drama, public insults, or just pure musical differences, Ozzy's been known to clash with plenty of big names over the years. Today, we're diving into the 7 bands that reportedly landed on his bad side. Some of these feuds are loud, messy, and decades long, and they tell us a lot about what Ozzy really values in rock music. Number 7, Limp Bizkit. If there's one band that really got on Ozzy Osbourne's nerves, it was Limp Bizkit. The clash between Ozzy and Fred Durst's crew shows just how different the old-school metal world was from the newer nu metal wave. Back in 1998, Limp Bizkit played at Ozzfest, Ozzy's own festival, and things didn't exactly go smoothly. The band came in loud, flashy, and full of attitude, but Ozzy wasn't impressed. People backstage said he was overheard saying, "What the bloody hell is this? They're jumping around like monkeys, but where's the music?" That comment eventually got back to Fred Durst, and from there, things just kept getting worse. A few years later, Ozzy gave an interview where he didn't name names, but said, "These new bands think wearing a backwards cap and yelling makes them metal. That's not music, it's just noise." Everyone pretty much knew who he was talking about. To Ozzy, real metal was about deep lyrics, dark themes, and skilled musicians. Limp Bizkit's style, with rapping, samples, and heavy but simple guitar riffs, just didn't cut it for him. People at the festival even said Ozzy would stand off to the side when Limp Bizkit performed, looking totally unimpressed. Sharon Osbourne, who helps manage Ozzy's career, supposedly tried to make sure they didn't get invited back. Then Fred Durst reportedly made things worse by saying Ozzy was past his prime in a radio interview. That really set Ozzy off. According to one journalist, Ozzy told his team, "That guy wouldn't know real metal if it bit him on the head." Even many years later, Ozzy was still throwing shade. In 2019, when someone asked him about the nu metal era, he simply said, "Some kinds of music are better left buried." Fans knew exactly what he meant. Number 6, Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi might be loved around the world for their catchy songs and big hair, but Ozzy Osbourne? He never bought into the hype. In fact, he reportedly couldn't stand what they represented. Music that was all about image, not depth. Back in the 80s, Ozzy was putting out dark, heavy records like The Ultimate Sin and No Rest for the Wicked. He was going through a tough time personally and creatively, trying to stay true to his metal roots. Meanwhile, Bon Jovi was everywhere, smiling on MTV, playing clean-cut arena rock, and winning over the masses. Ozzy, according to his guitarist Jake E. Lee, once joked, "They're like dentists with guitars, all smiles and no soul. Where's the pain? Where's the truth?" It wasn't just a musical difference, it was a clash of values. Things got even tenser at the 1987 Moscow Music Peace Festival. Ozzy reportedly rolled his eyes at Bon Jovi's slick, choreographed performance. One witness said he muttered, "This isn't rock and roll. This is a bloody Broadway show." Later that year, both acts were on a German TV special. People noticed Ozzy went out of his way to avoid the Bon Jovi crew. According to producer Max Norman, who worked with both artists, Ozzy felt rock music should challenge people, not comfort them. To him, Bon Jovi's music was just safe, easy to like, but nothing that really hit you in the gut. Number 5, Mly Crew. Now, this one's a bit ironic. You'd think Ozzy Osbourne and Mly Crew would get along great. They both had wild reputations, loved chaos, and toured together in the 80s. But behind the scenes, Ozzy didn't think the crew were the real deal. During their 1984 tour, both acts were known for outrageous behavior, but Ozzy felt like the crew were trying too hard. According to bassist Nikki Sixx, it turned into a game. One band would do something crazy, then the other would try to top it. Ozzy didn't like that. He reportedly told his team, "These guys are pretending to be wild. I'm not pretending. This is just who I am." One of the most famous stories from that tour is when Ozzy supposedly snorted a line of ants. Some say it was a joke. Others say it was his way of showing the younger band they weren't on his level. Photographer Gene Kirkland, who was there, said Ozzy once muttered backstage, "These California boys think they invented being insane. I was getting banned from countries before they even picked up guitars." As the Crew's music shifted to glam metal, with flashy outfits and songs like Girls, 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 Ozzy reportedly hated it. One engineer said Ozzy listened to their new stuff, then threw the tape across the room and yelled, "They've gone from dangerous to just plain stupid." So even though they shared some legendary tour stories, Ozzy didn't respect them the way some fans might think. Number 4, Kiss. Kiss is one of the most over-the-top rock bands ever. Face paint, fireworks, costumes, and crazy stage shows. But Ozzy Osbourne, he never cared for all that flash. In fact, he reportedly thought it was more circus act than rock and roll. The tension between Ozzy and Kiss goes way back to the 1970s, when Black Sabbath and Kiss were both on the rise. Ozzy didn't like how theatrical they were. He supposedly told people, "It's like watching clowns with guitars. All that makeup and those boots, it's a joke." Things didn't get better as Kiss got more famous. While Ozzy and Sabbath were fighting through serious personal struggles and keeping things raw and heavy, Kiss was selling action figures and lunchboxes. Ozzy didn't get it and didn't want to. One time in the early 80s, Ozzy and Gene Simmons crossed paths at a record label party. Simmons, always thinking business, gave Ozzy some advice on how to promote himself better. Ozzy reportedly snapped back, "I'm not a brand. I make music, not toys." That moment summed up their whole relationship. Kiss cared about the show. Ozzy cared about the sound. Even when Ozzy listened to Kiss's music, he wasn't impressed. According to producer Max Norman, Ozzy once said, "There's no real feeling in any of it. It's all for show, no heart." To Ozzy, rock wasn't supposed to be polished or pretty. It was supposed to be raw, loud, and real. And Kiss, in his eyes, was the exact opposite. Number 3, Guns N' Roses. At first, Ozzy Osbourne and Guns N' Roses seemed like a great match. In 1988, the Rising Stars joined Ozzy's No Rest for the Wicked tour, and it looked like the start of a powerful rock partnership. But it didn't take long for things to fall apart. The trouble started right away. Axl Rose, GNR's frontman, had a habit of being late, really late. According to Ozzy's guitarist Jake E. Lee, Ozzy got fed up quickly. He reportedly said, "They're not dangerous. They're just a pain in the ass." The final straw came in Philadelphia. Axl kept the crowd waiting for nearly 2 hours, and Ozzy lost it. His tour manager said Ozzy stormed into GNR's dressing room, yelling that they were disrespecting him, the fans, and everything rock and roll stood for. The next day, Guns N' Roses were off the tour. But Ozzy's bad feelings didn't stop there. As GNR got more famous, Ozzy seemed even more annoyed. In a 1992 interview, he said, "Some bands start out real, but then get famous and turn into everything they used to hate." People knew he was talking about Axl. Even when Slash, GNR's guitarist, played in Ozzy's band years later, Ozzy couldn't help himself. He'd ask Slash about Axl all the time, then laugh at the answers. One night, he reportedly joked, "I've been called crazy for years, but that guy makes me look like a saint." When Guns N' Roses finally reunited years later, Ozzy still wasn't impressed. He supposedly told friends, "Reunions are for bands that ran out of ideas. I never took a break. I've been doing this nonstop." Number 2, Judas Priest. Ozzy and Judas Priest might both be heavy metal legends from the UK, but behind the scenes, there's been a lot of tension between them over the years. In fact, this might be one of Ozzy's longest-running feuds. It started back in the late 70s. Black Sabbath was falling apart, and Judas Priest was rising fast. According to rock journalist Eddie Trunk, Ozzy felt like they were stepping over him while he was down. He supposedly told friends, "They waited until I was struggling, then tried to take my spot." What made it worse? Priest hired guitarist KK Downing, someone Ozzy had apparently been eyeing for his own band. When he found out, Ozzy was furious. His old manager said he smashed a hotel TV and shouted that Judas Priest was stealing from him. Then came a major incident in 1986 at the Monsters of Rock Festival. Rob Halford, Priest's frontman, reportedly made a rude comment about Ozzy singing, loud enough for him to hear. Ozzy had to be held back from going after him, yelling, "I invented this sound. You're just copying it, leather pants and all." Their rivalry went on for decades. Both bands were known to refuse playing the same festivals. Even when Judas Priest finally made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Ozzy didn't seem to care. He allegedly said, "I've been connecting with real metal fans before they even knew what Judas Priest was." To Ozzy, it wasn't just about music, it was personal. He saw Priest as trying to take his throne, and he never forgot it. Number 1, Van Halen. When Van Halen opened for Black Sabbath in the late 70s, it seemed like a great gig for the young band. But for Ozzy Osbourne, that tour turned into something that left a bad taste in his mouth. At first, things were fine. Eddie Van Halen was clearly a talented guitarist, and the band had energy. But as the shows went on, Ozzy started getting annoyed, especially with frontman David Lee Roth. According to Sabbath bassist Geezer Butler, Ozzy noticed Roth copying him on stage. Whatever Ozzy did one night, Geezer said, Dave would do the next. That kind of imitation didn't feel flattering. It felt like someone trying to steal his spotlight. Then there were the solos. Eddie's guitar solos were long, loud, and show-stealing. Tony Iommi, Sabbath's guitarist, reportedly had to ask him to tone it down. But come on. Telling Eddie Van Halen not to solo is like telling Ozzy not to scream. It wasn't going to happen. To make it worse, Roth had a totally different stage style than Ozzy. While Ozzy gave off dark, intense energy, Roth was all about fun, jokes, and being the life of the party. Ozzy didn't vibe with that at all. While Tony Iommi and Eddie ended up becoming good friends, Ozzy never really let go of those feelings. He felt like Van Halen tried to steal the spotlight on his tour, and he wasn't cool with that. So there you have it, 7 bands that really rubbed Ozzy Osbourne the wrong way. Whether it was copycat frontmen, flashy guitar solos, or music that felt more like a product than art, Ozzy's never been afraid to speak his mind. That's part of what's made him such a legend. Which feud surprised you the most? Do you agree with Ozzy? Or do you think some of these bands didn't deserve the hate? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss more rock and roll stories like this. Thanks for watching, and remember, in Ozzy's world, it's not just about being loud, it's about being real.